First of all, it's really hurting. I should begin by saying this, that I'm a parent and I have a son in one of the secondary schools, and it's actually a national school. So we are all concerned. You know, like I was watching this Mzee, this man who couldn't contain himself. He had even to remove his clothes because of the emotional, pain. You can empathize, you can feel it. This is pain beyond imagination. It's a pain where somebody loses their emotions, and at some point even somebody can suffer permanent injury. It's very painful. Now I'm asking myself, in this country of Kenya, I'm just asking myself, is any other parent going to suffer like this any other time because of the fires in a school? Is this going to happen? Maybe you speak to the education leaders, people in that department. Are you going to see another parent go through this? This lady was telling us that she was watching other children coming to embrace their parents. She kept on waiting and waiting and waiting, and her own daughter never came. She was one among the perished children. What a painful experience. Very, very painful. It's very nerve-rending experience. It's my prayer that God should not allow this to happen again. But on top of that, there are people mandated to run the affairs of the schools. Are they really doing their part? For example, it's also very disheartening what I saw, and because we saw the CCTVs from some of the mainstream media detailing what happened, and I'm asking myself, why will somebody, you are together with another child, the same school, why would you really do what we saw these guys doing? Very painful indeed. We saw what was being said to be kerosene as they were dousing some stuff and then they lit it. But a number of questions come in, especially because now we saw some people bringing in activism, and this is very painful, very, very painful, where activism wants to override accountability. Whoever did whatever they did, allow the full course of the law to take its course, and let whoever did whatever they did, let them be able to be measured against the law. You see, somebody was asking that when you bring CCTV in school, then you are prejudicing, or rather about issues about the security, the privacy of the students. My question is, this is a girls' school, for example. If we have a CCTV, for one, CCTV is not like it's a television where people are watching the way we watch. This is something that you go for a footage whenever it is needed, it's necessary. If an incident like this happens, you go for the footage. During that time, what happened? Who was responsible? I'm sure as a parent, and I speak as a parent, I'm paining as a parent. We must not bring activism where security of our children is concerned. Sometimes in this country, we have a problem where we want to overarch every issue with activism. You can't tell me that the privacy of children is more than their security. You cannot tell me that the privacy of the students is more than their security. Because if we don't have that student to begin with, whose privacy are we going to be talking about? We better secure our children first, then we talk about their privacy. But I'm wondering, if, for example, it's a female teacher who is allowed to check these CCTV footages, for example, what's the problem with that? What's the privacy about that? Yeah. Sometimes even you wonder, who are these people who say that the CCTVs must not be in school? Could they be part of this? What is going on? I should say shame on you. This is not supposed to be like that. We need our students, our children secured first, security first. I'm a man. If, for example, I'm a male teacher, and these are male students, and then it is in their dormitory, and then I'm given access, what's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? Furthermore, in that dormitory, there are other male people. So are you telling me now this teacher who is going to be seeing these footages is the only thing that we must give privacy to, at the expense of the security of our children? It's a big no, and sometimes we must be ashamed as Kenyans. So we are saying we want our children secured first. That's the first thing. And then let there be accountability. Let there be accountability, because somebody is mourning their child. Somebody's future has been messed up. This child was going to take care of their father, their parent. They have invested. We invest a lot in our children. And then tomorrow you tell me that child is no longer there. Where do you begin from? What if that's the only child you had? The way you want your child free, that's the way we want the other child to live also, that they may be able to become a perpetuation of the generation of this person. Very, very painful. Let the due process of the law take its course. Now, the other thing is, I was wondering, it is said that kerosene was used. Now, kerosene has a smell. How did kerosene gain access into the school? Are you telling me the person at the gate did not hear the smell? Where was they? Where were they? Where was this person? Accountability must be taken seriously, because we don't want to cry and mourn and say whatever you're saying, and then tomorrow again we are back to this. Yeah? Who was supposed to be at the gate when kerosene was gaining access? The person who was at the gate should have felt the smell of the kerosene and apprehended this culprit. You can't tell me that planning will be done in a school where there are many people, not much space where somebody can isolate themselves and plan something, and there's nobody who knew. There must have been somebody who knew. Why did they not take access? Did they not take a step towards curbing this? It's very painful. It's very painful. Somebody's life will never be the same again because they have lost. You know, when somebody loses a child, and maybe this child was sick, you nurse them, you do everything you can. At some point, you say, okay, we tried our level best, but then it was not to be, at least. But now you pay school fees, and then you wait for your child. The child is not forthcoming. It's not like the child is delaying somewhere. You can even raise a call and say, hey, my daughter has not come. You wait and wait and wait and wait for a child who is never to come. Reason being, the child died. It is very painful to the parents. Some parents will never recover from this. And so we want to know, let's take this accountability to the levels it needs to be taken to. Whoever allowed access, kerosene to come into this institution must be accountable. And how the planning was done, it must come to the forefront. Let us know. Let's understand who slept on the job. And let's take a step. Let's take action. Legally speaking. You know, there was a time when, during the times of Matiang'i, I think there was a commission of something, inquiry or something was set, and then they came up with the recommendations about the safety measures. I keep on asking myself, after how long are we going to learn? If we can't learn from one, that's why I began by saying, are we still waiting for another parent to shed their tears? These safety measures, for example, it was saying that schools' windows, dormitory windows, must not have grills. Because if it's, for example, it was just glasses, they just break and most of them escape. Why wasn't it so? These questions, who is going to answer them? Where does the buck stop? It is painful. And I reiterate, I speak as a parent. It is very painful. We want to see safety measures introduced in every school. If it is not working, President Ruto, can you hire Matiang'i? Let Matiang'i go back to what he was doing. If that is the case, let us have these people put in place. You know, sometimes you look at it and you wonder, a school like UTUMISHI Academy, the proximity to the, these forces guys, this is very near. We expected a quick response. We ought not to have lost any child. Sometimes also I wonder, how did it happen that our forces that are trained did not respond? Where were they? The screams of these kids, I'm sure, they were tearing through the skies before even the smoke will engulf and the fires burn these people. And you imagine, even if you're a parent, then you go look at your child burnt beyond recognition, that even to bury your child, you just need a DNA test. What a painful, horrific, horrendous experience. That thing will never leave the mind of this parent. We should not allow this to happen again. And as a country, we must accept and agree. I want to mention something about the disaster preparedness of our institutions. You know, when it happened to Bombolulu, We cried. It shook the nation. And everybody said what they said. We know we are good in sending messages of condolences, but after sending the message of condolences, what happens? Sometimes when these government leaders go to these families, now you go sign the book, give, even if you give cash, money can never bring back the life of this lost person. What happens after now you have left? They have buried their child. 1 year later, 2 years later, the kids that these kids were schooling together, they are now working. What kind of memories are these people suffering? It is my prayer and my plea. Can you hear this, whoever is in authority? This is painful. You find that maybe the child who got lost was a friend with a neighbor's child, and now this neighbor's child keeps on, you meet with him, he's finished school, finished university, is working or something like that, even keeps on, when you meet together, he greets you, and then the memories are always lingering. You remember, if my son was alive, if my daughter was alive, if my daughter was alive, she could be like this one, she could be doing this and this. That life of that parent is ruined forever. We seem not to be prepared for disaster, both as a government and also as our institutions. You know, the other day, I saw somebody breaking security of the President of the Republic of Kenya and going to, you know, it's quite amazing. Why will such a thing happen? We thought the president is guarded. What is the security supposed to be doing? If it can happen to the president like we saw, we don't want to give this to say that we are leaving it unto God. God has given us brains. God works with our brains. Let us up our game. This is not what we asked for. This is not what we intended. This is not what we are waiting for. We can get better services than this. How was this school, for example, prepared for any disaster? Because disaster preparedness is a very important thing. When we look at what happened, if the school is well equipped, they can save at least 1, 2, or 3. A disaster can be stopped. You know, I want to bring it to the attention of Kenyans that as part of disaster preparedness, we must also have intelligence on the ground. Let's have a way of getting intelligence, because wherever there are people are having different minds. Let's be able at least to have intelligence that we are able to understand, to burst something before it happens, for the safety and security of our children. Otherwise, if this cannot happen, let us be allowed to school our children at home. Homeschooling, we can do that, because now, if our children are not guaranteed their safety, the other day it was Changuli, it was Moi Girls, it was Bombolulu, it was Endarasha. This list is endless. Now we are talking about UTUMISHI. After that, then next day we could be talking about something else, or even maybe next term. Why will it be like that? Are you telling me that we cannot learn from our mistakes and be able to correct them? This is a painful, horrendous experience that must not be allowed to happen to any other parent, any other Kenyan parent. We don't pay school fees to go collect dead, to collect dead bodies of our children. We pay school fees that our children may improve their lives. These guys had visions, they had ambitions, they had what they wanted to become. It now been cut short. It's my prayer that this does not repeat. However, I want to say this, that let the due process of the law be followed without favor, without any interference. And if most of these guys who are outside here are part of the syndicate of destroying and killing our children, let it be known. That's something also, that is an investigation that we also want to be carried. Because even if you're an activist, what if it was your child that you lost like that? Will you be saying what you are saying? You're telling us that the CCTV must not be in the schools. We cannot accept that. Anybody who could be part and parcel of this, let the investigation be carried. Let us be told the truth. Because again, we know there are people here who are fronting for some other thought that are not in line with what we are saying. Now, for example, a school with the CCTV, even if it's in the dormitory, I'm sure that cannot tolerate lesbianism. I'm sure, because by the time they're thinking of doing these things, Because that's not what we send them to school. If you want to be a lesbian after you are 18. Now that one apparent has got no control over you. You are an adult. But in school, these are our children. I don't want my son to sleep next to a sodomist. I don't want that. So let us have CCTVs in the dormitories. Let them be wide and rolling, that in case of anybody who wants to introduce, I mean, if you bring CCTVs in the dormitories, we are not going to have these guys who are entertaining drugs in the dormitories. These people that are against this, can they see all this? Why wouldn't you be able to see simple things, and then you want to guide us to believe what you want us to believe? If we have these CCTVs all over, we will curb drugs, okay? We will curb lesbianism, we will curb all the ills in the dormitory. Let this plea, let this cry of a concerned parent reach the authorities supposed to reach. Thank you so much. It's my prayer that next time we don't lose any other life. And how we pray for these parents who lost their children. How we wish you God's healing, God's peace, God's mercy, God's recovery. It's only God who can heal you. We can do all we can, and it's only God who can heal this wound. And may God in his own way, his own wisdom, may he heal you. May he restore you. Thank you so much. God bless everybody.